How are you after that flight?
I'm doing fine. We landed safely in Vegas this afternoon. They brought a new pilot and a first mate. The first mate had to fly down from Seattle. The pilot was about to go home. So they had to get new aircraft and all of that. So it took a while. We were originally um, departing at 9:20 in the morning, and we eventually departed at 1. So
Yeah, I saw you landed just before 3 o'clock. So quite
yes,
the
yeah.
delay.
It was
Um,
quite a delay, yeah. But long enough that they had to issue refunds to people that decided they didn't want to travel. So yeah.
wow. Okay. Um, so you were in the plane. Walk me through those moments when you realized maybe there was something wrong, or did you just
Yeah. So I was seated in 8C, and we had taken off from PDX. Everything seemed fine. We were gaining altitude, and then you could see the flight attendants kind of hurriedly go to the back of the plane, and then very hurriedly come back up to the front of the plane. And the pilot came on and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, there's a concerning smell on board. We're going to divert back to Portland. We will get down as soon as we can." You could tell they obviously had priority because we landed fast, and we were met with the the port of Portland's fire department, and there was an ambulance on the tarmac. Um, and they came on board, checked things out, and then made the announcement that they were going to deplane us.
so you didn't actually smell anything, or did you?
No, so I didn't actually smell anything because whatever so at that time we didn't know what it was. And so it was mostly in the back of the plane. Someone I knew was actually in row 30. And so when we deplaned, they immediately set up a triage area, and anyone who wanted to could get checked out, and she went and got checked out. So basically everyone 30, 31, 32 plus the flight attendants who were in the back of the plane as well. And one of
Uh,
them was actually taken to the hospital.
you did see someone being transported.
She was, yeah, and we found out later because they were giving us announcements. And supposedly, the medical personnel were telling my friend that what they believe it was that there's a chemical sprayed on the jet engines. And when the jet engine turns on, it burns this chemical off. And for whatever reason, it didn't burn off correctly, and it kind of got sucked back into the plane.
Wow. Okay. And how's your friend doing?
She is okay. They did an oxygen test on her to make sure her O2 levels were okay. She had a little bit of a headache. Um, they checked out a whole bunch of different stuff on them, and she was okay. And she actually flew to Vegas with me, so she's here also. So
Well, that's good. I'm glad. So when you heard that those words, there is something concerning. We have to go back to PDX. I want to know
All right,
what's
everyone, we are
going
going
on
to
through your
be
head at that
Hmm.
deplaning.
point.
Please make sure that you take
I'm a travel
everything
agent, and
with
I've
you.
been working in this industry for 18 years, and I've flown all over the place, domestic, international. Um, I've had some concerning flights due to weather, but I've never had something like that where it was clearly like a non-weather related issue. And I was traveling next to these two young girls who were 11 and 13. I didn't know them. They were traveling with their moms who were seated behind them, but you could immediately feel their anxiety level go up because I imagine to an 11-year-old, seeing like the fire department meeting your aircraft is probably not something that you were hoping would happen. And I can admit I had a heightened anxiety level as we were heading back down because between them diverting and landing, you don't know what's wrong. So I don't know, is the engine about to go out? Like, I have no idea. None of us did at that time. So yeah, it was probably a more anxious landing than I've had usually at PDX.
Were you able to try to comfort the girls, or did you have
Yeah,
that?
so actually their moms had to when they made the announcement that they were going to deplane us, they asked us to take everything off of the aircraft. And so their moms had to get all the overhead carry-ons. And so I actually walked with the girls because I just had a backpack, and kind of stayed with them in the gate area until their moms were able to get off the plane as well and kind of meet back up with them. So I kind of just told one of the moms, like, they're a little anxious, but I think they're hanging in there. So
Yeah.
I'm a
Well,
mom too, so I understand that.
you get it. So I mean, earlier today there was a similar incident. This one, the passengers had to be evacuated using slides. This was on an American Airlines flight in Augusta, Georgia. So different location. But with all these things occurring, you said it yourself. You've flown so many times. It seems very rare, considering the fact that you've flown many times, right?
Yeah.
But because it's been in the news so often lately, does that bring any concern to you or not?
It does. My wife just flew to Arizona a few weeks ago, and as you know, they had just recently had several incidents in Arizona at the Phoenix airport. One that happened just a few days before she was scheduled to depart. And, regardless of what airport it is where these incidents are happening, these planes travel all over the place. So it's really not um, a determination of like how the airport is doing, but how the airlines are doing. And so it isn't something where I can just alleviate all my worry and say, hey, PDX is a safe airport. I know the Port of Portland is taking care of everything and we should be fine, because that's not the only factor at play. So yeah, it absolutely is concerning. Did I think it was going to happen to me? No. When we turned back around, I'm like, oh man, I'm going to be on TikTok or something. Yeah. So it was definitely sort of an eye-opening moment. But yeah, I'm glad everyone was all right. I hope my thoughts are with that flight attendant. I hope she's okay.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks a lot for taking the time to end the recording there.
Absolutely.
Was there
My
anything else
pleasure.
that you'd like to add, by the way?
I would love to add one thing. I just wanted to say a huge shout out to Alaska Airlines. I thought that from beginning to end, the way they handled this situation was extremely compassionate and professional. No one had to really ask for anything. They issued vouchers without being asked. They sent everyone text messages letting them know right when we hit that 3 hour mark that they were legally eligible to a refund if they didn't want to travel. So no one had to really like stand at the gate and pester them for information. They let us know when they got a new pilot. In fact, they had him come on and introduce himself, and people were actually going up to the pilot and chatting with him. He made himself available. So I've never seen that response to any kind of safety issue or weather issue. So that was really fantastic.